Okay, now we're going to look at neck woods and talk to us, Pete.
All right. Well, actually, new for 2013, 2014, I have some standard models coming out along with the JP models, and the neck wood of choice is going to be this one-piece quarter sawn maple, which is a very high quality. I get this in.
Let me zoom in on that.
Yeah.
Get some. Ah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, comes from a supplier that supplies a lot of people in the musical instrument industry, and it comes to me in stable dimensioned form, so I can.
So you'll get it in that dimension, actually.
Yeah, I can save a little bit of time doing this work because normally I do it myself, but this saves me a little bit of time, which obviously I can make the instrument a little bit less expensive doing it that way as well. It's got
rings.
Yeah, it's got a great sound, and my idea to go with a one piece at this point is because I think it's also going to help with the resonance of the instrument. So, which can be a good thing. That's going to be good for it. So that's going to become the standard neck for the JPs in my standard line, which is the Pro Series and Pro Series Deluxe. And if a customer custom orders a bass, they obviously can choose from other types of woods. Some of the more standard optional necks now are the three-piece necks, and this is a maple, Purple Heart maple. And I have to make these blocks myself, so this takes quite a bit of time to get all these dimensioned and put together, and then they have to be cut down into dimension. You can see that there's a lot of variance in the process.
So you say the majority of your basses are going to be maple neck, right?
Yeah, the majority of the lower end models are going to have the maple one piece necks. Custom orders, people can still order pretty much whatever they want, but these are now optional necks because of the time that goes into these.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, necks from the beginning of time with string instruments have always been maple.
Maple and one piece and quarter sawn is the most stable way of doing it. In fact, this is a great shot if you can get a shot in there.
I'll zoom in on that.
The best part of the quarter sawn neck.
So when you see the grain go up like that, that means quarter sawn.
Yeah, that vertical grain, instead of having it flat sawn, which would have the board going this way, the whole grain would be going this way.
Right.
You get all the strength of the vertical grain, and it has a uniform stability to it.
Less likely to bow?
It's less likely to bow. It's less likely to twist. It's uniform in the tone. The tone transmission is more uniform. Not that flat sawn maple won't work or isn't as good, but this to me is, for a one piece neck, this is where I want to start.
Good.
So, and the stuff is just great quality, so I'm really happy with that.
I'm seeing some Wenge there.
Yeah, this is another optional neck. This stuff here, this is Wenge and Purple Heart.
That'll bring the sizzle.
Yeah, it's a great neck wood. It is a little heavier, it has a little bit of weight, so if weight's a concern, that has to be taken into consideration. It's
beautiful.
It's beautiful. You can't argue with it, but it's not totally necessary to get a good sound. Obviously, you don't have to buy expensive necks to get good sound. That's why I'm going with these, because you can still get a great sounding bass. This is just personal preference. If somebody wants to go in a different direction tonally, and they want something that looks a certain way, then they can look at something like this.
Yeah, the Purple Heart stripe looks awesome in those.
Yeah, it's also, you have to be careful how you match these woods up, because some woods are not stable together. A three-piece neck isn't necessarily more stable than a one-piece, because certain woods can throw the stability out from the other piece.
Right.
Here's a neck that I really like using now, and I'm starting to use it quite a bit, which is a three-piece ash neck, and that gives you that nice, basically a quarter. The way I glue my necks up, I get a quarter sawn neck out of flat sawn material. This is all glued up in one big block like this. So there's the two boards and the middle board, and then I have to cut them into strips. But that gives me that nice quarter sawn figure at the end.
Nice.
Vertical grain, which is very important.
What do you like about the ash?
It's tonally, it's got a lot of openness going on that kind of lends itself to but it still has a lot of focus. So it's a little fuller sounding than, say, a maple.
Okay.
but still has a lot of quality to it, which so far the ones I've done with just the ash I've really liked. I've even done it on fretless and had great results with fretless bases.
It's got a little more figure than your average maple. Too.
Yeah, it's got a little bit more of open grain. So if you're into the open grain feel of Wenge, you would probably like the ash as well. I kind of like personally I like the way the open grain feels on a neck. I use a satin finish so that it's it doesn't feel like the high gloss finish, and you still feel the natural wood.
Sure.
So that's a great option too. People want to go with something like that.
What's this in Purple Heart over here?
This is maple and purple heart.
This is maple and Purple Heart. Okay.
And then for like more of the, occasionally I do this. I'll make necks that are much more elaborate visually.
For those of you that like to spend money.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. If you want to make something that's a little bit more one of a kind, you can. I do very small batches of this. Like the customer's already got this. This is going to go on one of his bases. But you can see this is a 9-piece.
Yeah, 9.
So.
And what is the black part made out of?
The black part is a dyed holly.
Okay.
And because I use marine grade epoxy when I'm gluing these up, that becomes very rigid, and the glue lines are very rigid, and they don't react to humidity the same way aliphatic resin does. These necks are very stable. And when I do multi-laminations, I like to make sure that I'm not really doing a lot of big pieces of laminations. I like to use smaller pieces because that actually adds to the stability.
Okay.
Rather than taking away, the more wood you put together, it can be somewhat unstable sometimes. But this actually keeps the stability, also keeps the tone similar because I'm using all maple here.
Right.
So even though it looks really nice and it's kind of intricate looking, it's still basically a maple neck.
So what if someone came to you and wants a 9-piece with all different woods? Would you steer them away from that?
It depends on the woods they're going to want to use. Like I won't use ebony in a neck. I won't use cataloche or ziricote, things that are real dense and oily, because they age and dissipate humidity much slower than say a maple or Purple Heart actually is a lot like a maple, so it actually works really well with maple. It works really well with Wenge, and it works really well with the ash too. But that's not a real oily wood. So that's about the hardest of the types of woods that I use in necks besides the Wenge. But Wenge is not very oily, really.
It's such an important part of the base process because it's transferring all the vibrations from your left hand through to getting into the body and getting it vibrating.
Right. So yeah, you want to use woods that are going to be stable, dimensionally stable. And there's woods that look gorgeous that would you would love to make a neck out of it, and like bird's eye, like flame maple. Those woods can look gorgeous, but it's not as stable. You're dealing with hardwood and softwood right next to itself. When the humidity changes, the neck is going to be reactive to that, and there's nothing you can ever do about that. It's always going to be that way. So as you can see, there's a little bit of figure, but this is hard maple, and it's actually a quarter sawn figure on the. Yeah. And I've done quarter sawn bird's eye, which becomes very stable because it's been cut against the flat sawn, so you get like a vertical grain again, and you see the eye, you see the strips of the eyes. You can get a lot of really cool figure with that.
Who's that neck going to? What's his name over there? He'll be happy to know.
Dan Ward is going to get this neck, or this one right here in the middle.
You're watching this video, Dan. There's your pre-shot of your base.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete. That's awesome.
Thank you.